It's Ahlia here, also known as Coach Ahlia, and I work primarily with male founders and CEOs, leaders and entrepreneurs, helping them do work they love and be remarkable leaders. Now, a topic that often comes up in conversation when I'm working with leaders is the topic of influence and how to really influence someone who's not seeing eye to eye on a particular topic or situation. And one of the distinctions that I have found incredibly useful both in my own career and my own life, personal and professional, that I learned when I was being trained and certified to be a coach several years ago, and a distinction that I often share with my clients almost in every conversation, is the one that I want to share with you today. So I'm really excited about that. Now, when you're not seeing eye to eye with somebody, it's often because you have a certain opinion and they have a certain opinion. You see something one way, they see it differently. Now, of course, you think you're right and they're wrong. And I'm sure you think that any smart person would see things the way you see them. Now, I can completely understand why you would see it that way. And, people hire me not to tell them that they're right, but to give them a different perspective. And that's where this particular distinction that I'm going to share becomes really handy. Because when you're seeing things your way, and you know that the other person that you want to influence is seeing things a different way, you're essentially judging them and judging that the way that they're seeing things is wrong, or, basically wrong is how you're seeing it, whether you see it that way right now or not. You think that your way is the right way and theirs isn't. And what I encourage you to do is, instead of judging where they're coming from, get really curious about where they're coming from. The most important distinction I've learned is that you can't be curious and judgmental at the same time. They're on opposite ends of the spectrum. You cannot possibly be doing both of those things at the same time. So you're either being curious or you're being judgmental, but you can't be both. So I encourage you to get more curious about this other person that perhaps you are not seeing eye to eye with. Where might they be coming from? What might be going on for them? Why might they be thinking or saying or doing what they're thinking or saying or doing? Let me give you an example. Just very recently, I was working with a client and he was not seeing eye to eye with somebody on his leadership team, and he could not understand why that other person was doing what they were doing, and how they had had several conversations about this one particular topic and they weren't really coming to any resolution, and the other person seemed to be evading sort of the conversation altogether. And I just said one thing. All I said was to my client, I said, what if this other person's scared? What if he's scared? And my client, there was silence on the other end of the line, and then immediately my client said, wow, that just shifted everything for me. And here's the thing, I don't know if that other person's scared. I just threw it out there as a potentially, different perspective to come from, as a potential truth for that other person. And if they're scared, then maybe that's why they're doing and saying and thinking the things that they're doing and saying and thinking. And I really encourage you to just get more curious about where that other person is coming from. And the more curious you get, the more openings there will be to have a different kind of conversation, a more compassionate conversation. And as human beings, we respond well to compassion. Everyone responds well to compassion. So I encourage you to be more curious, and just remember that you can't be curious and judgmental at the same time. So I hope that's been helpful. I know it's been incredibly helpful to most of my clients, so I hope you leverage that in one of your difficult situations with somebody. I'd love to hear from you in the comments section. What are you really taking away from this distinction of being curious versus judgmental? How do you see that it can actually support you in your leadership and perhaps a current situation that you're dealing with? Be sure to leave a comment below. And until I see you again, remember, just get out there, lead with brilliance, express that brilliance out there, because you are going to be most fulfilled and you're going to make a huge difference to those around you. I'll see you soon.